Welcome everybody to my guide on the OP gun Little Jaws. And so let's get right into it. This gun let's take a look at the weapon features first. And so for the first line it says, hitting enemies 15 times triggers unstable bomber, which is your main source of damage for this gun. And if we can take a look at what unstable bomber is, it's instant damage and it's AoE, right? So it's going to trigger one status damage blast of 100% PSI intensity after 0.1 second with a blast radius of 1.5 meters. Damage decays with distance. It will not crit, will not strike weak spots, and will not decay with distance, right? And here's the formula here's the damage formula. And it's 100% of your PSI times all of the rest, all of the damage bonus for your blast damage. So this is your main way to deal damage with this gun. Now moving on, we've got unstable bomber delay plus 0.3 seconds, which is a very, very important mechanic for this gun. And I'll come back to this later. So if we go to the next one, it says, when hitting enemies affected by unstable bomber, the current unstable bomber damage, final damage is plus 10%, and weak spot hits double the damage increase, which means shoot the enemy's weak spot if you can, because that's gonna make your UB deal 1.2 times more damage. And for the last line, for every 0.1 second of unstable bomber delay, your unstable bomber damage is going to be increased by 20%. And this actually pairs up with this line right here, because you're already delaying the effect by 0.3 seconds, right, from your gun stat. And then unstable bomber itself delays it by 0.1 second. So just like that, with the naked gun, you already have 80% more damage bonus on your unstable bomber. And we'll dive into the mods later, and one mod is actually make this even stronger. But for now, let's go take a look at the calibration attributes. So now, to the calibration attributes, you're going to want heavy style, because the more bullets you have in the vector, or in the Little Jaws, the better it is, because unstable bomber procs every 15 bullets. So you're going to want to have the most amount of bullets in your magazine if you want more consistent damage, right? And you're going to want your damage, your bullet count to go up per 15 bullets, right? So you're going to, so the milestones for your mag capacity would be 15, 30, 45, 60, 75, 90, and so on. And for the substats, elemental damage. That's what you want, because most of your damage is going to come from status damage, which is the unstable bomber. So elemental damage is going to help that. Do not go crit. So yeah. And now to the weapon accessories. I currently run the integrated compensator, but I'm a bit lazy to get this. If I could, I would have went for this one, because my recoil control is pretty good, I consider it. So I'd say I'd still go for accuracy, because accuracy is really important in this game. You can also go for the small break. It's going to depend on which one you're more comfortable with, right? So small break for more accuracy. Currently I'm running integrated compensator. Optics. I am running the tactical holographic sight, because it looks better than the sealed reflex sight, because it has less stability. However, you do get some more mobility on this, and more aiming speed, whereas this one you don't get the 2 extra stats. You can also go for compact reflex sight if you already bought it from the Morphic shop. So yeah, these are pretty much your 3 choices. And then for the tactics, you can pretty much, if you're not comfortable with the recoil, you can definitely run the tactical combined grip, or if if you want the more budget version, you can also get the vertical grip. However, this reduces my mobility, and I don't like that, right? If I could take one of them, since I'm not running a tactics right now, I'd probably take the Cobra grip for the most amount of accuracy possible. Then for the magazine, with the same mindset that I said previously, the more bullets you have in your magazine, the better it is. And so we're going to be running weighted SMG mag. So that's going to be it for the gun attachments. Next up, for your gear sets and key gear. So key gear, absolutely run explosive front top because with the same mechanic of delaying your unstable bomber proc here, the explosive front actually delays it by another 0.3 seconds, and it also just by itself adds 30% more damage to it. So this is very important. The other one is Shaman Vulture Top, which gives you crit rate after you trigger Unstable Bomber, which is just not good. Don't build crit rate on this gun, right? So go for Explosive Front. And for your gear sets, it's 4-piece Shelter, because that's like the Shelter set buffs your elemental damage by like pretty much starting from the second, third, and fourth. Starting from the second piece bonus, it's gonna start buffing your elemental damage. So this is very important. It's a stacking elemental damage buff, and for the fourth one, it makes it so that you stack it even faster, right? So yeah, shelter set. However, if you cannot afford shelter, an alternative to this would be, I forgot the name, but I believe it's called Heavy Duty. So if I can find it, Heavy Duty, right? So it gives you elemental damage. And the third piece also gives you elemental damage. So you could go for the three piece for this one, right? And then for the last remaining piece, I went with Lone Wolf gloves because the first piece gives me a magazine capacity, and with in the same mindset, as previously, more bullets in your mag means more consistent damage with the Vector. Now, let's move on to the mods. So now for the gun mod, you want to be running the Bombardier Souvenir because this is going to allow you to recycle your unstable bomber effect. Now here, I'm not running this mod because I don't have it. And so your second option is going to be supercharged because you can still make use of its effect since triggering unstable bomber grants unstable bomber damage plus 5% for 3 seconds, affecting stack up to 6 times, and you're actually able to do that because of the insane fire rate. So the Little Jaws actually has the highest fire rate in the game right now. So you're actually able to keep this buff alive. Oh, and before I dive into any other mods, let's talk about the substats that you want to be prioritizing. So any substats that's gonna make your gun deal more, your unstable bomber deal more damage is your priority. So elemental damage, status damage. Now elemental damage is gonna be slightly better because per elemental roll, you're actually rolling higher than status damage. And then of course, damage against X type of enemy is going to help when you fight against the content that has these enemies, right? So you wouldn't run damage against normal enemies in a fight where you only fight bosses, right? So that would be good. Reload speed bonus, it's meh. And magazine capacity increase is good. You'd want that. So yeah, pretty much don't go for crit. Don't do that. And weak spot is meh. Your unstable bomber doesn't even deal weak spot damage, so don't go for weak spot damage. So yeah, that's gonna wrap it up for your substats priority. Now let's move on to the hat. So hat, run Deviation Expert. It's what's gonna make your UB nuke deal more damage. It also gives you fire rate, which pretty much makes it possible for you to since your UB damage increases with the delay. I believe it's in the gun. Yeah, so for every 0.1 seconds of unstable delay, actually that doesn't affect that. It's the other thing. So for your mask, if you can dive into it right after, but for now, just keep in mind, Deviation Expert, the fire rate is great, and you need the status damage. Alternatives would be momentum up talents, of course, or I'd say, really, there's not your other choices aren't that great. So just get your Deviation Expert. Now, to continue with the combo of mod, it's going to be this one on your mask. This is very important. So before the bomb explodes, for every 5 hits taken, the bomb's ultimate damage plus 25%. Now, this mod, actually, if you've noticed, some of my mods aren't even upgraded to max. And that's what I used to do the damage showcase. So the damage is actually way higher than this, right? As you can see, this one has weak spot damage and 2 defensive stab, and this is absolute dog water. So keep in mind that you actually have the potential to do way more damage than what I show. Before that, I wanted to talk about simple maths for this, right? So it says before the bomb explodes, for every 5 hits taken, the bomb's ultimate damage plus 25%. And your gun has 0.3 seconds of delay. Your explosive from gives 0.3 seconds, and unstable bomber itself has 0.1 seconds of delay. So that's 0.7 seconds of delay before your unstable bomber procs happens. So with that in mind, let's do some quick math, right? So currently, I have 1100 fire rate, and here the 1100 is the amount of bullets that you shoot per minute. So if I shoot 1100 bullets per minute, we're gonna divide by 60. That's 18 bullets per second. Now I want to know how many bullets I can shoot before unstable bomber procs. So we're gonna do times 0.7, which is the delay, divided by 1, which makes it so that I can shoot almost 13 bullets. So you only need to land 10 out of the 12.8 bullets that you shoot. So with that, that's pretty much makes your bomb's ultimate damage 25% turn into 50%. So your bomb is actually going to deal 1.5 more damage just from this single mod. Now your only other option for the mask is going to be a point detonation. However, this is way more conditional since it has to only hit one enemy, and I just don't really like it. And this isn't. It's 25% compared to 50%, and I'm pretty sure it's easy to see which one is easier to fulfill, right? So because for delayed blast, all you have to do is to hit your shots, right, to get the 50% bonus. And for this one, you actually have to make it so that your explosion is only hitting one enemy. So this is actually worse. Now, moving on to gloves, you got two choices here. You have elemental overload, or you can choose status enhancement. Now, element damage and status damage is the same here. The only difference is for your main stat, you actually get 2% more of status damage, right? So pretty much really just take whichever that has the best stats, and you'll be set. Right, so here it's just these two choices. Don't go for anything else. They're not good for this gun. Moving on to shelter shoes. To my shoes, we're gonna take covered advance because this is pretty much unconditional 20% weapon, which is your normal damage bullet bonus, and the status damage, which is gonna buff your UB nuke. So covered advance, it's pretty much this unconditional buff is just what you're gonna be running. It's unconditional because as you can see, it's I say unconditional because the downtime for the buff is so small compared to the uptime, and the requirement is really easy to fulfill. Just don't take damage for 4 seconds and you're good. So yeah, run this talent, of course, and your other choice could be, well, you could take Ruthless Reaper, but it's harder to fulfill. And yeah, really just nothing beats covered advance here. I won't even take a look at the other mods because I just know that this one just performs the best. And then for your explosive, for your top, run status damage. That's gonna make your nuke deal even more damage. So run status damage, the blue mod, if you can. And then finally for the shelter pants, you've got two choices, and let's dive right into it. So I'm currently running Precision Charge. First of all, because the mods are pretty fine. The mods are good for like dummy testing, right? But also the second reason is because I don't have status amplification, which is the second mod choice. So Precision Charge, let's just take a look at Precision Charge first. So for every 10% weak spot hit rate of the previous magazine, elemental damage plus 4% up to 24%, lasting for 10 seconds. Reloading resets the calculation. So this is great, right? You're gonna get that 24% buff every time for every single magazine, as long as you hit weak spots. As long as you hit enough weak spots, let's say, right? And this is pretty much always 24% elemental damage boost, which is for your UB nuke. Now the other choice is status amplification, which when your magazine is empty, you're gonna gain 10% status damage for 12 seconds, and it can stack 3 times. I haven't tested it, but I bet it's gonna perform similarly to this one, right? And really just look at which mod you have better substats on, try them and test them, and really just take whichever that performs better. But precision charge and status amplification are going to be your two choices. All right, here we have a bit of a special thing. You can actually get an echo to boost your damage, and it's going to be the Shattered Maiden, which can be obtained, for instance, from your no, it's not. I was about to say purification, but it's not purifications. It's obtained from your refineries. So like this is a refinery. You go to a refinery, you start it, you'll get gasoline, and you'll have a chance to get the Maiden. I forgot the other source. I believe there's a quest that allows you to get the Shattered Maiden, but I forgot. So I really can't tell you the other way to get it. But pretty much what this does is autonomously moves in attacks, inflicts slowdown chain to non-boss enemies in front of Massing, also increasing their explosion damage received by 40%. So this is going to buff your UB damage. And lastly, let's take a look at your Cradles. So I'm actually running. I don't know why I'm running this. I could probably run this, right? So if you take a look at the Cradles, automatic weapon enhancement is a must, because you're using an SMG. Master Tactician if you use daggers against great ones, right? If you're going to fight against great ones. Deviation Master for PvE content. I'm not going to look at the more defensive stats, because these are like really just situational depending on what you're trying to clear, right? I'm only going to look at the mods that you want to equip for more damage. So next one will be Tactical Combo. So weapon damage plus 25% after reloading or switching weapons, so you need that. Status enhancement. After hitting a weak spot, status damage plus 25% for 3 seconds. And this is like buffing your UB once again. And unfortunately, the only like Cradle specific for UB is like this. It's going to be this one, which is first round blast. So after you reload, your unstable bomber damage is buffed by 25% for 4 seconds. So you can actually have like 2 to 3 procs that benefit from more unstable damage. Then I'm running Steady Hand and Bounty Hunter, because Steady Hand, well, since I currently have the crossbow equipped, right? The recurve crossbow, which gives bullseye effect to enemies. So if you go back into Cradles, this here says weak spot damage to the bullseye plus 20%. And here, Bounty Hunter, if I kill a unit I marked, I still get a weapon damage buff and a weak spot damage buff, which unfortunately does not buff my UB. However, it's still going to be like a buff nonetheless to my normal damage. So yeah, that's it for this guide. If you've enjoyed it, please consider liking the video and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye. Take care.